NESN.com presents The Hurry Up.
Hello and welcome into The Hurry Up. I am your host, Michaela Vernava, and what a show we have in store for you for week one of the NFL season. We've got picks, we've got fantasy advice, we've got power rankings and more, but what do you say? We start with the good old New England Patriots. They are getting ready to head out to University of Phoenix Stadium, familiar turf. You may recall that is where their perfect season came to a screeching halt at Super Bowl 42. And it's also the place where Tom Brady picked up his fourth ring as Malcolm Butler saved the day at Super Bowl 49. But how they will fare at that stadium this time around depends largely on Jimmy Garoppolo. So without further ado, let's head out to Foxborough, where our Patriots beat writers Zach Cox and Doug Kyde are standing by. Guys, since the Patriots are heading into this one without Tom Brady, they are 6-point underdogs. They haven't been that big of an underdog since week 17 of 2009. So how do you think Jimmy Garoppolo will hold up against one of last season's best defenses that now has the addition of Chandler Jones?
You know, I think that Jimmy G will be fine in this game, but it really kind of depends on how that offensive line holds up, how his weapons hold up. Obviously, he will be without Deion Lewis, who's starting the season on PUP. Danny Amendola hasn't practiced all summer, and then the offensive line just got shaken up with the reported trade of Josh Klein to the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're not really sure if Shaq Mason's going to be starting at right guard, if Jonathan Cooper will be there, if Ted Karras is there, no Sebastian Vollmer at right tackle. So I think that Jimmy's kind of being put at a little bit of a disadvantage in these first four games.
I have to agree. I say the offensive line is the biggest key for the Patriots in this game. Garoppolo, he's an inexperienced guy. Obviously, this is his first NFL start. And against a defense like the Cardinals, two most important things: stay upright, don't turn the ball over. Both of those are very difficult to do, obviously, if you don't have a strong offensive line. So those big boys up front have got to protect them.
Well, guys, we saw good things from the Patriots defense during the preseason, but Arizona's offense averaged 6.2 yards per play last season. Do you think the Pats D is equipped to slow down that kind of production?
Well, I think everyone kind of expects them to be. I mean, all we've heard all preseason, all summer, is that this is supposed to be one of the most talented, one of the deepest, one of the most skilled defenses of the Bill Belichick era here, which obviously is pretty high praise and a pretty high bar to set for this team, especially when you look back at some of the talented Ds they've had in the past. Yeah. But, I mean, against this Cardinals team, obviously I think they're known a little bit more for their defense, but their offense can fire at all cylinders. They're a very dangerous team.
Yeah, I think so. I think that this game depends just as much on the Patriots defense, if not more than the offense, just because, like you said, the Cardinals offense is pretty high powered, and this Patriots defense is supposed to be extremely good last year. Last year they were top 10 ranked unit. I think they could even sneak into the top 5 this year. They've kind of got all of those pieces in place for at least one more year here. So I think guys like Jabal Sheard and Chris Long, Trey Flowers, those guys will be bringing pressure against Carson Palmer. That will be extremely key. And the cornerbacks really have to do their job against those tough wide receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown, and Michael Floyd. And they just acquired another defensive back in Eric Rowe out here. So it will be interesting to see if and how he fits in. But I mean, guys will be coming at that Arizona offense from all angles, and they will really have to be, especially with all the issues that the Patriots offense faces right now.
All right, thanks, guys. I know we could talk about this all day, but right now we have Nicholas Goss on standby, who is ready to give us his daily fantasy dream lineup. Nick, over to you.
Thanks, Michaela. With DraftKings, you can play one-week fantasy games and set a new lineup every week. Here's mine for week one. One of my value picks this week is Derek Carr, quarterback of the Oakland Raiders. He's going up against the Saints defense that allowed a league-high 45 passing touchdowns last season and ranked 32nd, dead last in yards per attempt. Another value pick this week is Ryan Matthews, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's playing against a horrible Browns defense that was destroyed in the run game last season, giving up 4.5 yards per carry and the third most rushing yards per game. Another value pick this week is Lamar Miller, running back for the Houston Texans. He's going up against a below-average Chicago defense. He gave up the fourth most passing touchdowns last season. One of his issues last season with the Miami Dolphins was he didn't get enough touches. That shouldn't be a problem with the Texans, and he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. So with more volume, he should have a lot more success. Now let's go back to Michaela, who's with Mike Cole for his lock and upset of the week.
Thanks, Nick. Now I'm here with Mike Cole, who is going to make some picks for us. Mike, who is your lock of the week?
Well, it's tough this time of year because trends don't really mean a whole lot. You're going off of, pretty recent past, but you can't really tell. But at the same time, I'm going to go with trends. Seahawks, they're 10.5-point favorites against Miami this week. The Seahawks have covered their last 3 times of being 10-point favorites in September. They're 10-0 in September under Pete Carroll. They've covered in all 10 of those games. The run defense is stout, as they like to say. Miami has no running game. Ryan Tannehill, he stinks on the road. So even 10.5 points, I'll take Seattle to cover that.
I like that pick, Mike, because on top of that, the Seahawks are 7-2-1 against the spread when they've been favored by 10 or more points since 2013. So I like it. What's your upset for this week?
My upset pick, if you want to call it that, which seems weird calling it an upset, but I'll take the Patriots. They're 6.5 point underdogs, depending on where you look at it. This is one I'm actually throwing out the trends, because the trends don't mean a whole lot, because you're looking at past years with Tom Brady under center. Clearly, he's not there this year. That being said, I think the Patriots defense is good enough to keep this game close. I think with Jimmy Garoppolo, clearly struggled at times in the preseason, but he didn't have Rob Gronkowski at all. He hardly had Julian Edelman. He didn't have Danny Amendola. He should have all 3 of those guys on Sunday night. I think they keep it close. I think they still end up losing, but I think they cover.
Well, we also know how well Bill Belichick prepares to come out of the gate strong. The Patriots have only lost one season opener since 2004. That was in 2014. So, Mike, I like it. Thanks for the picks. And now let's send it over to Zach Cox, who has some power rankings.
I'm Zach Cox, and here are my NFL power rankings. The team I see making the biggest leap this season is the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the best supporting cast Alex Smith has had since he first landed in Kansas City in 2013. And with the Broncos set to start the untested Trevor Siemian at quarterback in Week 1, the AFC West crown is ripe for the taking. At the other end of the spectrum, the team I have falling the furthest this season is the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings finished last season 11-5 and made a surprise return to the playoffs, but Teddy Bridgewater's season-ending injury will make replicating that success incredibly difficult, despite the fact that Adrian Peterson remains one of the league's premier rushers. As for the Patriots, well, they sit right up at the top of my Week 1 power rankings. Yes, they will be without Tom Brady for the first quarter of the season, but even with Jimmy Garoppolo under center, they remain my Super Bowl favorite. Week 1 will be a test, though, as the Patriots go up against an Arizona Cardinals team that's very dangerous on both sides of the ball and has Super Bowl aspirations of its own.
Rachel Holt for NESN.com sitting down with John Halpin of Fox Sports for the Hurry Up. And John, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we have to ask you, the regular season is finally here. We're really excited. As far as Week 1 matchups go for fantasy owners, are there any games you have highlighted that we should keep our eye on specifically? Well,
I think the 2 highest scoring ones, Lions and Colts, is a big one. Raiders and Saints is another one, partly because the Saints defense is always so bad. I think Derek Carr is a guy you can target as a quarterback starter that you might not have drafted as a starter. The 2 receivers, certainly, Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, even Clyde Walford, their tight end, could help you out. On the other side of the ball, the Saints, their receivers tend to change every year. Brandon Cooks is the big one, but they've got Kobe Fleener who they brought in a tight end who could be really strong. As far as looking at the other guys, Michael Thomas, the rookie from Ohio State, he could be a red zone target because he's the one big guy in their wide receiving core. That game's got a pretty high over-under. I think it's 51. You could see a lot of points in that game.
Okay, thank you so much, John.
You're welcome.
All right, that'll do it for this week. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in for next week's episode. In the meantime, make sure to keep it on NESN.com for all your football news, and make sure to check out our podcast.